Hi, everyone. Welcome. I'm Gretchen Huebner, one of the founders of Kodable and the head of product design. And I have here with me Brie Gray. Hi. Brie is our head of curriculum. So she wrote all of the lesson plans that you use with Kodable. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your background?
Yeah, so I'm Brie. I do our curriculum here at Kodable. Before Kodable, I was a teacher. I taught kindergarten for 3 years, a year of first grade and a year of fourth grade.
Yeah, so she's got a lot of experience working with elementary school students and writing curriculum and working with different types of curriculum. And she joined us about a year ago and has completely just blown us away with all of the additions that she's made to our curriculum to make it more effective for you guys. So we are so excited for the new school year. There's been a lot of changes, updates to Kodable over the past year, so we wanted to quickly go over those things and just also provide a quick refresher for everybody who's coming back to the new school year. You might be a little bit rusty after the summer. A little bit too much time by the pool. Hopefully, yeah. And so you're just gearing up for the new school year. We can give you a quick refresher on how to set up your account. And then for anybody who's new, welcome. We're so excited to have you. We're pumped that there's so many new people teaching computer science in elementary school. We're so excited to be a part of that. But we realize that this is your first year, so you might have a few questions. So we wanted to just kind of provide a quick walkthrough through Kodable, how to set it up, and what to expect with your first year of coding. So we really want everybody to start the school year off successfully, and that's what we're here to do. So if you have any questions as we're going through things, feel free to post them in the Q&A that's on the live broadcast, or you can also post them on the event page, or you can post them to Twitter using the hashtag KidsCanCode, all one word, and we'll be monitoring that to just keep questions updated as we go. So first, I think what we're going to do is kind of go over some things that have been updated to Kodable in the past year. If you haven't taken a look, since last fall, there's a ton of things that have been updated. So we're really excited about that. Then we will get into the curriculum. Brie's going to take us through a lesson plan and what teaching a lesson of Kodable would look like, sort of the day-to-day and how to pace it out for your K-5 students. We will talk about setting up your classes or transferring students if you're coming back for a new school year. And then finally, we'll walk through our curriculum playlists and how to kind of customize Kodable for each grade level or for different learning levels if you're going to be doing some differentiation during the school year. So we're really excited. We're going to try and keep it brief, but feel free to ask any questions as we go. So to start off, I guess I'll kind of do a quick run through of everything that's been updated. I'm sure all of you who've been with us for a while remember when Kodable was just K-2, but now last year we released our 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade curriculum. We're so excited to be able to offer you guys a complete scaffolded K-5 elementary coding curriculum. It can stand completely alone and gives you everything that you would need if you wanted to implement a computer science curriculum for your entire school. So that's really exciting. It starts kids off learning, the basics of programming and then walks them through all of those concepts up until object-oriented programming. And that's what they start off with in 4th and 5th grade, is learning about object-oriented programming and then eventually learning JavaScript, how to read and write in JavaScript. So that's where we want to take kids so that when they finish elementary school, they're ready to start middle school completely fluent in a real programming language. And that's our ultimate goal, is to give kids all the tools that they need to be prepared to read and write code in middle school. Second, we've added a lot of really great lesson plans. Brie's done a stellar job. We've added some functions lesson plans. She's added a ton of variables, and also obviously our 4th and 5th grade object-oriented programming lesson plans. We'll go through that. We've updated our Kodable help desk, so now you can completely self-serve. If you have questions, you can find answers on our help desk, and we're going to post the link to that later. We've also updated all of the teacher dashboard, so we've added a lot of really cool tools for you guys, including a to-do list, progress reporting emails that come out weekly, and lastly, we've added Google integration, Google Classroom integration. So now you can easily import all of your students. One click of a button. It's super simple. We've had a lot of requests over the past year for that, and so we're super excited to be able to offer you guys that for the start of the school year. So we're going to just jump into the curriculum real quick, and if you have any questions about anything, feel free to post them to Twitter. You can use the Kids Can Code hashtag, or you can post them in the Q&A that's in the video feed or on the event page. So, Brie, take it away. I'm going to share our screen real quick.
So Gretchen's going to be showing a little bit of the teacher dashboard. I want to be able to walk you guys through and show you exactly what I'm talking about here. Grechen mentioned that we've added a lot of lesson plans, and really what we've done there is we've created full units. So there are 9 programming units, and you'll be able to, move in this pacing. Oh, thank you, Grechen. So you'll be able to move in this order and teach your student each of these units. Each unit has 5 lesson plans and starts with teacher resources. One thing that we did add, and we may have forgotten to mention, over the summer, we added some videos. So those are a teacher resource that will really help you understand each unit before you dive into teaching. I'm gonna show you here, this orange curriculum tab is where you'll find everything that you need to be able to teach. So this is where you'll get your lesson plans, and this is where you'll get teacher resources that will really help you learn about these concepts that you're teaching. So let's take a look at our first. This is how our units are listed. Here we have sequence, our first unit, and then conditions, loops, functions, and so forth. Moving down to variables, and then object-oriented programming. So what you're looking at on the left-hand side is the name of the unit. First unit, sequence. And every overview section that you see here, read a little bit and watch videos to understand this unit. And each unit overview will look the exact same. So you'll have a little bit of context, and then you'll get a little bit of a preview for what the unit will look like when you're teaching. And then a little piece down here that will kind of guide you in helping your students when they're doing their on-screen lessons. So we'll head back to where all of our lessons are. And you can again see overview and then lesson plans that follow. Let's take a look at one of our lesson plans, and then I can walk you a bit through how they're structured. Let's just look at one for conditions. So every lesson plan is set up the same way. Objectives are always going to be listed at the top. Everything you need to know about the lesson itself will be listed on the left-hand side here. So you'll always be able to see how much time it's going to take, the materials you'll need. You're able to download all of the materials that the lesson includes by clicking here. And you can print directly from your dashboard. So that's new too. If you'd like to print right from the dashboard, you can. Or you can just access it on your device if you choose to teach that way. So we'll walk through this lesson plan, but keep in mind that every lesson plan is structured this way, so it will be really familiar as you move through the units. You won't see anything new or have to adjust to a completely different style. And that's something I think that, over time we may add different types of lessons, but you'll always know kind of what to look for and where to find it. So,
Brie, can you tell them a little bit about why you chose this structure for the curriculum?
Yeah, so when we get into the direct instruction, this first portion of the lesson, you'll notice that it's actually scripted. And so, in designing these lessons, a scripted lesson plan doesn't work for everyone. And I definitely, when I was teaching, I liked to kind of let my classroom function how it does normally. And I think a scripted lesson plan obviously doesn't meet the needs of every student or every teacher. So that being said, I think using our lesson plans as a template or a guideline is also a great idea. You don't have to read right off it. If you want to, you can, if that makes you feel comfortable. But if you'd like to take what you see and kind of make it fit in your own classroom, I think that's also a great idea. So we've done it this way so that it's minimal effort on the teacher's part. But again, if you have your own ideas or if you think a different way of delivering this content will work better in your classroom, definitely pull the content out and make it fit, you know, into your style of teaching for sure. So every lesson plan is set up beginning with direct instruction, where you're going to explicitly teach this concept to your students. So this is where you'll teach them what it is and you'll model for them how it works. After you do the direct instruction, you'll move into a guided practice activity. And it's important to note here that all of these guided practice activities are actually done unplugged. So you're still device free here. In the direct instruction, you're teaching about the concept and you're applying it to real life. And I think that's really important to note that for especially elementary students, to break these concepts down in a way that they can access them by thinking about the world around them is really important. And I think, you know, doing these device-free lessons, you'll see your students understand and be able to apply them when they do get to their device later in the cycle of the lesson. So here they're practicing this concept still unplugged, and in groups and in teams, and you're still in the picture, you're involved, and you're walking them through this. And then at the end of the lesson, you can do this in two different ways. If you don't want your students to do the on-screen lessons in the classroom, and maybe that's due to time constraints, or maybe that's just you'd like to teach it completely unplugged, right into informal assessment and check for understanding. So every lesson has a closing activity, either an exit ticket or some kind of informal assessment that will direct your instruction and kind of guide you as you figure out what they're understanding and what they're not. You can do that at the end of guided practice, or you can have them get on screen by going into their own student profiles and practicing the on-screen lessons to do the independent practice. And that every lesson plan will tell you which on-screen lessons correlate with the lesson plan that you just taught. So you can always switch the order of these. Like I said, if you want them to do the practice in the classroom, I would have them do the practice first and then maybe end the lesson with the exit ticket. That's up to you, whatever works for your schedule. But every lesson does include both informal assessment or some kind of exit ticket at the end.
And some common ways that we have people break this up is if you see your students once a week for about 15 minutes, the lesson plans have been designed to work with that schedule the best. But some people see them, you know, for 30 minutes twice a week. Some people see them, you know, once a week for only 30 minutes. And so in those cases, you would just break up the direct instruction and guided practice and then have the students do the independent practice either at home or later on in the week when you see them the second time as sort of a review to, you know, gauge how well they understood the lesson. And that's how we definitely recommend breaking it up. But to give you an idea, you know, this is where you go to find all of the lessons and exactly what you should teach. But to give you an idea of how you should pace this out for your students, Brie, can you walk them through the pacing guide real quick?
Yeah, sure. Let's pull that up so that everyone can see it.
Hello. We're back. Let's see here. Let's go through year one, I guess, first.
So we're going to walk you through our year one pacing guide. When we say year one, we're meaning the first year that you teach Kodable. So this is assuming that students K through 5 had any experience with Kodable. So something we always tell teachers, our curriculum is designed to be grade appropriate for certain concepts are grade appropriate for certain grades. So it's scaffolded in that kindergarten should be learning sequence while 5th graders are doing object-oriented programming. But that being said, if a 5th grader has never done Kodable or coding or programming, they shouldn't be diving right into object-oriented programming. They still need that foundation. So our year one scope and sequence kind of picks and pulls which lessons from each unit are important and students do need to learn regardless of their age or grade. So here you'll see is obviously going to be the only grade where they'll complete, you know, the first all 5 of sequence and 2 of conditions. But then in 1st grade, we'll move into they're doing all 5 lessons of sequence, all 5 conditions, and the first 2 of loops. And then you'll notice in 2nd grade, instead of doing all 5 of the sequence lessons, students just need to complete either the first, second, and last lessons, or you can tailor that to your own classroom. You may find they need less or they may need more. So this is designed, this scope and sequence is designed just by our recommendations and what we think. Like I've said before, every classroom is a little different and your students may need more or less time with a certain concept. So this is available on our
help desk.
So definitely take a look at this, print it out. If you're teaching Kodable for the first time at your school, this should be the best way for you to roll it out through K through 5. And as you move into years 2, 3, and 4 with Kodable, you'll find whatever adjustments you need to make to this. You'll figure that out, what fits best for your school. But this is definitely the best way to start rolling out Kodable.
Absolutely. And this matches up exactly with what you see on the curriculum page of your dashboard. So when it says complete all 5 lessons, it's talking about those first 5 lessons that you see under sequence on your curriculum dashboard. And then when it says the first, second, and last lessons, it's talking about lesson 1, lesson 2, and lesson 5 under conditions. And so you can match it up exactly with what you see on your teacher dashboard and know without a doubt what you need to be teaching each week to your students. And the great thing about this pacing guide is that you can actually match it up with what you see in on your playlists for your students. So you can customize what your students see on their devices to match exactly what you're going to be teaching each week for each grade level. And we're going to get into that in a second. Brie, did you have anything else you wanted to add about the curriculum before we get into setting up classes?
No, just that it's constantly being revisited. So don't be surprised if you see things added throughout the year. And if you have your own great ideas, we'd always love to hear them. I think one of my favorite things of this position and getting to write lessons is connecting with other teachers who do the same. So if you have great ideas that you're getting from our lessons or your own ideas, reach out. We'd love to hear. Share it on social media. This is only going to get bigger and better over time. So we're excited.
Awesome. Yeah. And so I don't see any questions about curriculum right now. But if anybody has them, feel free to post them on the event page or on Twitter using the hashtag #KidsCanCode. And we will answer them. But now we're going to just jump into setting up a class. So let me pull that up quick. Alrighty. Okay, everybody. So like I said, this is where you can see exactly what matches up with that pacing guide we were showing you. But now I'm going to walk you through setting up a class. If you are new to Kodable and you're just setting up a teacher account, when you first sign up, when you first register at Kodable.com, a wizard will walk you through this, but it looks exactly like this. If you are not new to Kodable and you have a teacher dashboard already set up, this is what it'll look like. And to add your new classes for the new school year, you're just going to go to this classes tab on the side, and you click add new class. And then what you need to do is create a name for your class. So I'm going to call mine Gretchen's, let's say Huebner, 2nd grade. And I like to recommend people set up their classes by grade level. I think that this is a really easy way to save yourself time in the future. I always like to help future self whenever possible. And that way, if you just do it by grade level, then you can easily transfer those 2nd grade students to a 3rd grade classroom next year, rather than having to go by individual student and transfer them to their respective homeroom classes. You could just transfer all of 2nd grade into 3rd grade, and then you're finished. So that's really helpful. That's my #1 tip for setting up classes. If you're using Google Classroom to import all your students, that's irrelevant. Google Classroom does everything for you. So I'm a huge fan of saving time, and that's my recommendation for that. And so I'm going to create a class code. Now, for those of you who are new to Kodable, a class code is the unique, sort of like a password that your students enter on their devices to pull up the class roster. So this is what they enter, and you can make it anything you want. I like to make it for K-2 students. I really like to make it something that's easy to remember, like their teacher's last name and their room number, or the school mascot, and sight words, any combination of things that they'll be able to easily remember. And then at the beginning of every class for the first month of the school year, you might want to go over it with them and talk about why it is that, and how to spell it, and entering it into their devices. It's good practice for later on, and I know it's a lot of, it covers a lot of standards actually that need to be taught in different states. So for my class, I'm going to make it Huebner 301. 301, and we'll pretend that's my room number. And if you're an admin for a school, you can actually assign it to different teachers. So these are the teachers that are assigned to me. I want to be the teacher on this class, so I'm going to keep it assigned to myself. But if I wanted Ms. Everdeen or Ms. Eatsham to be able to monitor this class, I could assign it to them. But I'm going to keep it assigned to myself. Okay, awesome. My class code is available. Now I'm going to go ahead and add my students. I can type in each student here, or the easier way to do this is to copy and paste from an Excel spreadsheet. That'll work fine. You just need one student on each line, and it'll create a separate profile for all of them. So I'm going to say Grechen, Brie, Alex, John, Tina, Joy, and Phil. All right, all the members of the Kodable team now have a Kodable profile. Create class. And they're all set. So now I can see this is my class code that I'm going to give to my students. It is not case sensitive. And then this is the unique URL. So if you have like a classroom website, or somewhere that you like to have students get all of their shortcuts set up so that they can easily access things, this is what you would want to use. It's always game.kodable.com/class and then your class code. And that's how students can access the game quickly and easily. So I'm going to click on this, and you'll see it's going to bring up my class roster. These are all the students I just added. And then once students are on this page, all they need to do is find their name, and they can get started. It'll take them to the last level that they left off on. So it's super simple to do that. And then here is my class that I just set up. I can see all of my students. I can see how many lessons they've completed, and I can transfer this class roster if I need to. I can click on each student to view their progress if I want to. So there's a lot of great things that you can do from this page. This is where you go to get all the information on each class. So you can see Huebner 2nd grade. If I wanted to go to Huebner 1st grade, here's all my students. And that's pretty much it. It's super simple to set up classes in Kodable. It takes just a couple minutes. For those of you who are adding lots of classes, I totally understand. You don't want to spend a ton of time doing it. So if you have all of your rosters and spreadsheets, this is going to take you, it should be pretty breezy. We want to save everybody time. So if you are coming back for a new school year and you need to transfer students, if you set it up by grade level, you can quickly transfer a class roster. Transfer all of my 1st grade students to a 2nd grade class. I would transfer them to select a class to transfer the roster to. So I've just transferred all my 1st grade students to Huebner 2nd grade. And now Huebner 1st grade doesn't have any students. I could add more students to this class if I wanted to. And I'm going to go to 2nd grade, and now you can see all of those students have been added to the roster that I created just a minute ago. So that'll save you a ton of time by setting it up by grade level. And And if you want to transfer individual students, you would go to Students page, select the students that you want to transfer. So I'm going to filter by class. I've got another first grade class. Okay, here's the only student that's in that class. I want to transfer this student from Gretchen's first to Huebner's second grade. And they've been transferred. So it's really simple to transfer your students, to filter by class, to search by name. And this is where you would add students and import students if you wanted to as well. So, so yeah, that's pretty quick and easy. Does anybody have any questions on that?
Yes, we have one.
Okay.
There actually is a limit.
So Kelly Sheehan asked if there is a limit to the number of students you can have in a classroom. Yes, we do have a limit on the number of students that could be in a classroom, only because if you have more than 50 students, it just takes a while to load all of that data. So we limit it to 50. But there's no limit on the number of students that you can have enrolled in Kodable, and there's no limit on the number of classes that you can have. So what I would suggest doing is having, maybe if you have 100 students in first grade, you'd have first grade A through H, and then first grade G through Z. I through Z.
Long day.
It's been a long day. I through Z. So that would be the easiest way, I think, to set it up. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody else have questions? Let's see. Check Twitter. Nope. All right, cool. So now that you know how to set up your classes, and you've seen the curriculum, and you know how to pace it out for your students, let's jump into playlists real quick. They're a really great way to customize what your students see on their devices. Once you get through a lesson plan, you're going to need to do, some independent practice with your students. And I have seen it many times where, the kids get so excited about the game, and we love that. We love our students to be engaged, but then they go through everything, and the teacher's stuck saying, oh no, they've completed everything. What am I going to do? They're ahead of the rest of the class. So we set up playlists that allow you to stop students at a certain point so that they don't go beyond what you have planned for the following week. And you can also hide lessons from students. So if you have your fifth graders and you only want them to do 2 sections of sequence, you can hide the rest of the content on the game so that they're not saying, oh, why can't I get to this? Why can't I play this? I want to do it. Or, it's just out of sight, out of mind. And you make sure that everybody's staying at the same pace. So that's what playlists are. Let's go through setting one up really quickly. Oh, sure. Sure.
Yeah, so before we move into playlists, we have one question about classes. So we have someone wondering if they should set it up for all teachers and students so they can be promoted to the next year, or if each teacher can set their own account and still promote the next year.
That's a great question. So for Kodable school users, our paid account, we actually have the ability to create an admin for the school. So you would be the admin for the entire school, and you could invite teachers to Kodable, and they would have their own login, and they could set up all of their own classes, and you would be able to manage those classes as you see fit and view everyone else's classes and student progress. On the school plan, then you would have to have everyone have their own separate login and create their own classes. But like you saw when I was setting up the class, if you are an admin and you have that paid feature, then you can assign classes to teachers. So you could just add all your students. Once the teachers have their own account, you just assign a class to them, and they're all good to go. And they would be able to view that class on their own with their own login. Yeah, cool. And if you have more questions about the Kodable school plan, we're going to post a link to info on that. We've got a lot of people rolling it out this school year, so we'd be happy to connect you with one of our account specialists who'd be able to help you out if you have questions. So, Awesome. Okay, get into playlists. So you're going to go to playlists on the side of your dashboard. And you can see I've got a ton of playlists here. I've customized things for my students quite a bit. Everybody starts out with a Kodable default playlist, and this is with everything open. So this assumes that you never want to stop your students, you don't want to hide anything from them, and this is what everyone is assigned by default when they create their Kodable account. If you want to customize that, then you can create a new playlist. So I'm going to create a new playlist for my 3rd through 5th grade students. And I'm going to base it off of the default playlist. And I'm going to call it 3 through 5 playlist. And I want to color code it. I want to make it green. So all of my classes that are assigned to the 3 through 5 playlist will be green. I need to know exactly which class is set up on this playlist. All right, and so now to customize what my 3rd through 5th grade students see, I'm going to go into this playlist, and I'm going to pull up this pacing guide that we were looking at earlier, just so that I know exactly what I want to hide. So my 3rd through 5th grade students, for the first week, I'm going to introduce them to sequence. So I want to have the first section available to them, but I don't want them to be able to access these middle units. So I'm going to hide those because I'm only going to teach the first and last lessons on sequence to them. And then I don't want them to be able to go beyond the first section, these first 5 levels, because I want to be able to teach them about debugging before they get into buggy basics. So I'm going to stop students after 1, 2, 3 roll so that they can only access this on their devices. So when they log in, they're only going to see 1, 2, 3 roll. It's going to take them through those levels, and then it's going to stop them. And then next week, I'm going to disable stopping them, and I'm going to stop them at the end of buggy basics. And so they'll immediately go from 1, 2, 3 roll into buggy basics, and it'll stop them once they complete all these 5 lessons. So that way I've taught these first 2 levels, or these first 2 lessons on sequence, and I've stopped them before they get into conditions so that I have an opportunity to introduce that concept to them and teach them about it. So again, it looks like I'm only going to teach them the first and last lesson on conditions. So I'm going to hide those ones that I don't want to show up on their devices. And I'm going to stop them at the end of conditions, at the end of the first levels under conditions. So you can see how easy it is to customize all of this. But how do you assign it to classes? So right now you can see it's not assigned to any classes. So I need to go to my classes that I want to be on this playlist and make sure that they're assigned to this playlist. I'm going to go to my classes page. My famous class is my all-star 5th grade class. So I'm going to go ahead and assign them to my 3 through 5 playlist. So I'm going to go to edit because I want to edit this. Edit. Oh, edit class, sorry. I'm going to go to edit class because I want to edit some of the properties of this class. And I'm going to go to curriculum playlist. Right now it's set up on my default, but I want to change it to 3 through 5. So this is saying, changing a class playlist will change the order of student progression through Kodable. Student progress will not be lost, but they may see different content than before. Yes, I want that to happen. Okay, and I'm going to hit save. You can see my famous class is green because they're on my 3 through 5 playlist. And if I go back to playlists, I can see famous class on underneath the assigned classes. So this really gives you a lot of freedom to customize what your students see and gives you control over the curriculum so that you can make sure that everybody's working at the right pace and not throwing off your plans for the entire year. So yeah, that's really exciting. Does anybody have any questions on playlists?
I don't have playlists.
Oh. Okay, it looks like we have another question from Royman. A follow-up to the admin question. So as an admin, I can simply create the classes and invite teachers. In the meantime, teachers can independently add their own students, or does the admin have to add all the students for each class? Either or. So after a teacher has their account, they can add their own students if they want to, or you as the admin can add them. Obviously, you want to communicate with your teachers on, which of these you want to do so that you don't have duplicates, but either of those is possible as an admin. And as an admin, you'll be able to see what students have been added and what teachers are active and what students are active.
And then we just have a question about transferring students with Google Classroom. So if you're using Google Classroom, how are you going to be transferring students for a new school year?
So I would suggest re-importing the students so that you can make sure that stays up to date. I'm not certain about how often it refreshes. That's a question that I'll have to ask our developers on. But yeah, I would suggest just re-importing with Google Classroom. That way you are making sure that all the students are in the proper classes. Or if you want to break the link, so if you just want to use Google Classroom for importing the students, since no progress is reported from Kodable to Google Classroom, you could just transfer those students using the transfer options that we showed you earlier, and it would break the link to Google Classroom. But since the students are already in there, that would be a good way to transfer them without losing any of their Kodable progress.
And then we have one more question going back to the curriculum. We have a question about, is there a comprehensive list of supplies needed for unplugged lessons? Each lesson plan shows we'll show you actually. Each lesson plan in the beginning shows you what materials you'll need. So you would have to click on each lesson to see what materials you'll need for that. And anything that you need aside from classroom supplies like pencils or paper, any worksheet or images or activity that we've made, you'll be able to download right there from your teacher dashboard when you click on the lesson plan. So they are listed just on each lesson plan.
Are they on the overview?
Same question. No, they're not.
Okay.
We can add it though. It could go in that.
It's a good item to put.
Yeah.
So that's a good idea, maybe adding it to this table. In every unit, you'll see an overview, which is where you find out about the concept. You can watch the quick video, but at the bottom, you'll see a breakdown of every lesson that's in that unit, and the student objectives and a lesson description and the assigned on-screen lessons. That's a great place, I think, to put materials as well. So keep an eye out for that. That might be something that we add pretty soon. I love that question.
Yeah,
Thank
you.
Alrighty.
We have one more about playlists. If we do not want the students to go on, do you hide the unit or stop them? What's the difference? I would say the main difference, hiding a unit would probably be best used in a situation if you wanted to, like Gretchen's saying, follow the pacing. Or if you were teaching second graders who had learned sequence in first grade, you would want them to start further in. So you would be hiding the earlier lessons. The stop button or feature is best to prevent them from going further into things you haven't taught yet.
Yeah. So I guess to simplify, maybe hiding is skipping. So if you want them to skip something altogether and hide it, then hide it. And if you want them to be prevented from moving forward, then you would stop them.
And now we have a couple more questions. How do I make myself the admin for my school?
So to become the admin, you need to be upgraded to the Kodable school plan. So we have a couple different options for that. We've got per student pricing if you're going to be purchasing for less than 150 students. If your school has more than 150 students, we have site licenses available. And again, if you want to be put in touch with one of our account specialists, we are more than happy to do that for you. And it's once you're upgraded, you become an admin and you can start inviting teachers and viewing all of the admin tools as well.
Yeah, and our next question that just came in kind of goes with that. How do I find the cost for having admin rights?
So what you would need to do, I'll post the link actually to the event page. All you need to do is submit a quick form, basically telling us a little bit about your school, how many students you're working with, and how many locations, and then somebody will get in touch with you within 24 hours to kind of, talk with you a little bit about what that would look like, how to roll it out, and to go over cost.
One more question about playlists. Just wondering about options for differentiation within a class, and the best way to go about splitting classes to put students who are on the same class or in the same class on different playlists. So this is something we see teachers do all the time. And it takes a little time with Kodable to kind of figure out the best way to split a class. Sometimes teachers think students that will be academically high or typically are academically high will progress further or faster through Kodable. And then they find that's not the case. So you may want to wait a few weeks before you do this. But if you do find that your class is kind of splitting and some students are moving faster than others, definitely create 2 separate classes for them. So if Gretchen's second grade or Miss Hebner's second grade class needed to be split, she could do Hebner's second grade high, second grade low, and then assign them to different playlists. So they are still students in the same physical class, but you could have them on separate classes and playlists in Kodable. The number of classes is unlimited, so that won't affect anything with your account.
And then we've got one more question. Is Kodable only for grades K to 5? Any options for K to 8? So Kodable is designed for K through 5. However, because we go all the way through JavaScript and just the state of education right now, computer science is something new for all students. There's a lot of middle schools who do use it as an introduction to coding for their students, just to get them up to speed before they jump into something like JavaScript or programming apps or robots or anything like that. For K to 5, however, we do have a lot of people that use it in middle school for grades 6 through 8.
One more question about the curriculum. Are there vocabulary cards prepared to display, or any kind of images of Kodable characters, which would be the fuzzes or the maze or the worlds, and then any coding blocks used for remediation and extensions? So first, vocab cards we do have. They're not on your teacher dashboard. So for now, I'm not sure where they'll eventually live. We're going under some updates. If you email me at brie@kodable.com, I will send them to you tonight. So I do have vocabulary cards if you want them, brie@kodable.com. And then we do have the Kodable Fuzz available for printing, available on our homepage actually. So that's like a free public resource.
Yep.
And anyone can print them. We have image cards, Valentine's.
Oh, we've got PowerPoints on
goodies.
Teaching people about Kodable. We've got lots of great stuff on that. I'm going to post the link real
So
quickly.
Grechen will post that link for you there. Any other questions?
No? Alrighty. Great. Well, we have certainly enjoyed all of this. Sorry, I had sound coming from somewhere. Here's the link to the resources page, everybody. We've really enjoyed this. We always love sharing all of the new things that have happened over the past year and getting everybody. This is our favorite time, second favorite time of year. I'd say our first is Hour of Code, but we're super excited to talk with all of you all. Love your questions. If you have any others, you can feel free to email either of us. Our email addresses are just our first name @kodable.com. Pretty simple. I'm Grechen. This is Brie. And you can also email support@kodable.com anytime, and someone from the team will get back to you. Just as an aside, as we're waiting for any other last questions to come in, a bit of an update on us as a company. It's been a really exciting journey. We started in 2013, and you know, we never anticipated becoming an education company working with teachers, but every day I'm so thankful to get to work with so many awesome educators and really make a difference for students all around the world. And over the past year, you know, this time last year we were just a few people working above a coffee shop, and we've doubled our team and have started really rolling out coding to a lot of schools, and are in, you know, 1 in 4 U.S. elementary schools. So thank you all so much for all of your support, and for if this is your 2nd or 3rd year using Kodable, thank you for sticking with us through all of the growing pains and really being awesome beta testers and trying new things. If it's your 1st year with Kodable, we're so excited to have you, and we really look forward to continuing this growth and having you all be a part of it. So awesome. Thank you so much. And let's check one more time for questions. It looks like that's it.
Yeah.
So thank you all. Have a great evening. You can check back on the event page for an archive of this video if you want to refer back to anything. And I'll also post all of the resources that we talked about tonight there as well. So bye, everybody. Thanks.